Hello, my friends. This is Yelena and Elaine, and we are happy to welcome you here today. The topic of our little Zoom today is transforming your blocks into abundance and starting your path to success. Let me do a quick introduction. Elaine, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I teach Kundalini yoga and any forms of meditation that involve movement, not any forms of meditation, but other forms of meditation that involve using the physical body and breath work to elevate our frequency and become the better version of ourselves. My background is dance, into yoga, into meditation, and it's all connected.
Thank you. And she is amazing, my friends. We absolutely love Elaine and her Kundalini workshops. Let me introduce myself. I am Reverend Yelena, and I specialize in spiritual retreat, personal growth, abundance, and relationship workshops. So I have over 2 decades of experience, and I have very unique approach, combining ancient wisdom and the research that I've done in the past 20 years with practical tools. I also specialize in reprogramming to achieve this deeper personal success and happiness. I've published several metaphysical books in Russian language, so currently it's being translated into English, and I am very excited to be here with you today. We are going to ask Elaine to start this session with a beautiful meditation. Please tell us a meditation that you will be doing today.
So I brought, it's called Karani Kriya. And it's a meditation that helps us really cultivate our creativity and our self-confidence to be self-reliant to do the work that we came here to do. We've all come here for a specific purpose and a specific reason. There is nobody else like you. And the only thing really stopping us from moving forward is these blockages that relate to our ability to be self-confident and to follow through with just understanding that we have creative capacity to contribute. So yeah, usually sorry, I have a dog in the background who always seems to interfere. I'm gonna move.
I'm sure he's a spiritual master that wants to participate and wants to be part of it.
Yeah, let's go with that for sure. So yeah, when our mind is our creative mind is weak when it comes to doing the work that we have to do, whatever that work is, if it's a job, if it's an entrepreneurial idea that you have, even if it's just being like the best caretaker of your home, of whatever it is, that's still creative energy. When our mind is weak, we start to look at other celebrities or famous people or icons, and we highly
Distracted.
we get distracted. We start to look at how they are, and we start to compare ourselves, and then we start to have this self-conscious feeling that comes from, well, that person. Even we start looking at our friends and who are having much better situations in life. How do they manage to manage a household and have a job and have this and have that? And we start questioning things, and so that's when the mind is weak. So this meditation is really going to bring us into alignment with ourselves, where we can cultivate the creativity that we know we have, that's in there. We just need to go inside and access it and connect to it, and then the idea is to take it with you. And like all practices, it's not like a one-time thing, like you do it and you're healed forever. You can chisel away some of the blockages, but you got to keep doing the work. The work is, if you're alive and you're human, you have work to do. That's the thing. When we have no more work to do, then we can go to the ethers and the other realms, but we have to do our work. So usually for Kundalini, we tune in. So I'm just going to quickly just do Om. It's the ancient mantra where we cultivate and we tune in.
We do it one more time and slower, because we might have people who is hearing it for the first time. So let's do it one more time and slower so they can actually hear.
Okay. It means I bow to the infinite wisdom within. We have all the wisdom all the tools. We came divinely prepared with everything that we need inside of us. We just need to go and access it and really align, fine tune, polish our inner diamond. So we usually chant it 3 times when we tune in, because we have 3 minds. I'm getting very technical today, but you know, you're ready for it. So the audience is ready for it. We have a positive mind, a negative mind, and a neutral mind. So the positive mind clearly has, you know, optimism, can do anything it wants. The negative mind is protecting us, you know, maybe you shouldn't do that, maybe you're going to fail, you know. And then the neutral mind is where you can weigh the two. And you know, we need all 3 minds. I'm not going to get into that today. Well, we could talk about another time, but we're really trying to find that neutrality so that we can really move forward with a very clear sense of what we're doing. So we've tuned in. Any Kundalini class anywhere in the world, now you're ready if you weren't before. And so this meditation, we're taking our index fingers and our middle finger, which is the Jupiter and the Saturn finger, and you're going to touch them together and hold them at the throat level. Now, each finger is longer than the other, so you just do your best to really touch them and try to keep it straight as best as you can. And you're holding the other fingers down with your thumb. The eyes are going to close 9/10, so you're just opening the eyes, just a sliver of light coming in. And we're going to inhale for 3 counts, hold the breath for 5 counts, and then you're going to exhale with control for 10 counts. And just continue with this pattern of breath and doing your very best. Inhaling for 3, holding for 5, exhale for 10. And just concentrate on your breath, hold the eye gaze, and just commit to yourself. It's this type of discipline of maintaining the mudra, the hand gesture, maintaining the eye gaze, and continuing with the breath. It's the discipline that builds our resilience and our vitality. It really helps us, as we commit to ourselves, to know that we are working on ourselves, because nobody can do this work for you. You can pay a lot of people to do a lot of things, but you have to clean your inner self. So we'll be here for about 2 more minutes. So just concentrate, adjust the posture. The elbow starts to droop. Just, you know, check in, make sure that you keep the mudra at throat level. And hold steady. If you want to be great, then you will be great. You just do what needs to be done to become that best version. Almost there. Concentrate. Deeply inhale, hold the breath. Squeeze the spine. Make everything as tight as possible from the tailbone all the way up to the crown of the head. Squeeze all the muscles in your entire body. Now hold the hands where they are. Exhale completely all the way out. Inhale again, squeeze, consolidate the breath, squeeze, exhale, last time, deeply inhale, hold the posture, hold the breath, exhale, gently relax the hands down, and just take a few breaths in your natural state of being, and just observe the breath and observe what has shifted in your mind and in your body. And when you're ready, no rush, you can just gently begin to open the eyes, maybe wiggle the fingers, just bring your senses back, coming back into the room. And that is Karani Kriya. So we did 3 minutes. Ideally, it's practice for 11. So this is something, if this resonated with you, I highly encourage you to try it. Try 11 minutes. If you have the time, you know, you're just investing in yourself. So just remember to tune in. Om Namo Gurudev Namo before you go into the meditation.
Thank you so much.
It
was such a pleasure to have Elaine to start and to prepare everyone. And right now we would love to go into more practical side and talk about some of the sabotaging concepts, and how we are able to identify the blocks, right? How we're able to identify the sabotage that is happening in our life, you know. In one of the ways that the ancients would look into the life where they were able to identify these blocks was they looked into the balance of yin and yang. So principle number one was based on the understanding that there has to be a balance. The fundamental principle was the balance of qi, the balance of yin and yang. All right, the yin is the feminine receptive energy, and the yang is the masculine, the active energy. And one of the ways that they did it was, well, they had multiple ways to identify it, of course, but one of the ways was they would balance the male and the feminine presence and characteristics in a person. If, let's say, the person was too feminine, they would be always trying to balance her by adding more masculine features, more masculine textures, more masculine colors in the clothing, in the interior, and vice versa. If the person was too masculine, they wanted to add more feminine. And by the way, this is also explains the clothing that they used to wear back in the days. Did you notice that a lot of male and female clothing, right? There was the long robes in China, and you know, you take Arabic cultures, there was a lot of these female. For us, we would think it's a female type of clothing, yet for them it was these balancing elements where we were balancing these yin and yang energies. So take a look at yourself and try to take a stock and see, okay, if I have too many female attributes, how can I balance it out and bring a little bit more? Because the key, my friends, is to be in that golden middle, the golden ratio, because when you are more balanced, you are able to create and manifest these balanced energy. When you have too much of the female energies, it's very hard to manifest, because the female energy is receptive, right? For manifestation, you need the male energy, because that energy is the expressive energy. That is the energy that gets you out there, right? So that's why we could balance it out by introducing more red colors in your environment. And one of the most important principle, of course, was creating balance in your environment. Take a look at your place, what needs to be decluttered, what needs to be harmonized. The whole idea for you to create harmony in your space, in your bedroom, in your office, in your car. If you have stuff thrown all over the rooms, pick it up. The ancient looked at the corners of the buildings and the rooms. This is the place that accumulates a lot of negative energies. And so the corners, they would pay such a strong attention to that, clear out all these corners to make sure that you are able to create. The other thing was they would like to have natural elements. That's why they loved combining crystals and stones and gemstones, right, in your environment. So that's why if you don't have any of those natural elements, it's very important for you to get some, because our homes are too synthetic. Everything is artificial, everything is plastic. So take a look and stock in your environment, your office, your bedroom, your kitchen. Do you have those balancing energies, right? Those elements with right colors for this positive flow. If you have dark spots, they would always make sure that you have a good lighting to make sure everything has enough light, because they believed that dark spaces, dark room create those stagnation, they create these blockages. So check out your space, make sure you work on this, and then you release it. Well, you can start by physical cleaning. The alchemical principle of transformation, which is taught by Hermes Trismegistus, and there's a lot of this information. I'm sure you can find it if someone finds resonance with that. Make sure Google Hermes. He was the father of alchemy. And so this alchemy, it's basically the science of transformation of something one into another. Most known form is transformation into gold, which was the quest that all the ancient alchemists been to. And in our days, and a lot of ancient wise men in many continents, they knew that the first thing you have to transform is your life, your consciousness, right? And so they've been having all these spiritual quests, and people would become monks, and people would go into the woods and into the top of the mountains to find a way to transform it, right? So kind of lead, which would be your situation, into your gold, which will be into manifesting, right, your life that you desire. And in alchemy, you understand that to have this material transformation, material abundance, everything starts at the level of energy. This is one of the alchemical principles, that everything is energy. And first you have to take a look in your life, and if you were to assess how much positive and how much negative thoughts you have. If you feel like you have 50 and 50%, like 50% of the time you're upset, 50% of the time you're irritated, 50% of the time you feel that you are stuck, that shows you that basically your manifestation ratio, that you're only able to manifest 60% of the times. Or who knows, maybe in your life, you're only 20% positive and 80% you're complaining, whining, and everything is wrong with this world, right? So everybody is going to have their different ratio. So the next lesson will be for you is to set, assess, and decide to make a conscious choice to transform, and start with transforming your negative thoughts into positive. So this is where you start rephrasing your thoughts. So you're going to have to start catching yourself into these sabotaging thoughts, like, oh, I can never get it wrong, right? This internal dialogue needs to be cleaned up. So this is going to be, make a note of this and start tracking it. Catch how you talk to yourself. Oh my God, I never can do this. I never can do it right, and stuff like that. And then you have to stop yourself and rephrase it. And that is the most challenging part, because we are used to have this negative self-talk since we're born. This is how our parents educated. So a lot of us having this parents from our childhood sitting in the back of your mind and saying, you know, you're a worthless child, you know, you don't know anything, you're stupid, you can't do it. And so that becomes a problem and limits our manifestations, right? So that's how, little by little, and it's going to be difficult. It's not easy, but yes, you have to find it and you have to start transforming that into the gold. Next thing I would, it's a very practical tool, my friends, and it might be funny, but I would recommend you to have maybe 60 seconds will be very hard for you. So you might want to start with 30 seconds. But what I want you to do, I want you to enter in your calendar today. Every day, let's say at 3 p.m., you're going to have a 30-second positive talk with yourself. This is 30 seconds where you are going to address yourself and you're going to praise yourself for things that you have accomplished. And guess what? If you've got nothing comes on your mind, you cannot come up with any ideas what you want to be thank yourself for. You could start with basic. Hey, you know what? You made it. You are here. It's 3 p.m. and you showed up. You know, you are amazing. Remember some kind of, you can praise the looks. You know what, you're looking good. You got up. This is already praise for many, just to be able to get up. You know what, you made it to work. That's also a praise. You know what, you're doing great job, you're working. Perhaps it will be simple things like, you know what, you're starting to exercise. You did an extra walk. You went an extra mile on your walk. So little things you have to learn to program yourself with those little gems, 30-second gems. And trust me, it's not easy when you're just starting. Ideally, you want to make it 90 seconds. But let's start baby steps. So as long as once you nail 30 seconds and set up a 30-second timer for it to watch you when you are communicating with yourself, and say, you know, you are amazing. And if you've got nothing to come up and you cannot address yourself, then here's another trick you can do. talk to your child self. For example, people have a lot of regrets and they have a lot of disappointments in life, and they can't even start by dressing themselves. Then just start talking to your child self. In your eyes, close your eyes, put yourself as a child in front of you. And if it was a child, say, hey, you are amazing. You are awesome. In your mind, just praise your child self and start having this positive self-talk. And little by little, then you assess in a week, how you feeling now? Do you still have about 50-50, 50 positive, 50 negative, or you're going to start improving, and then you're going to have 60% of positivity, positive thoughts in your life, and then you're going to get to 70 and 80, 90, and who knows, maybe you will get to days where you will be 100% positive without any setbacks. And you know what? It's okay to have a little setbacks. Just also understand nature has 4 seasons, right? And so there are ups and downs. And if you have a little relapse, it's okay. Just as long as you know where to come back and start taking care of yourself like if you were a child, because you have to be your biggest fan. And in these holiday seasons, I want to say one last recommendation, a little secret that the ancients used, and it's used in Christianic, in Asian, it's used in a lot of native ancient cultures. It's the custom of giving. In ancient times, giving was the sign of abundance. It was the sign of generosity. And it was considered that giving is attracting abundance. So these selfless acts of making an offering. People used to make an offerings on the altar to the gods, to the universe. They were making offerings to each other. So in every culture, even in Christian mysticism, there is this custom of giving. So start this custom of giving, because Christians believe that if you give, you will receive in return. And the more you give, the more you share, I would say, the more you get. And it does not necessarily mean money. It does not have to be something tangible. You can start by giving smiles. You can start by giving compliments. You can start by giving hugs to your friends and family. Just take a moment of giving, and right, because this is what you want to make sure. You want to create this balance of giving, and then you're ready. It puts you in a state of receiving. In Islamic cultures, charity is called zakat. It is also a very important practice. They believed that giving to charities helps to cleanse your soul. It cleanses the pathway to the wealth into society. And a lot of Native Americans, they also believed, I worked with a lot of South American shamans in my life, and they have this belief in the custom, it's called despacho, and this is the custom where people were making an offerings to their spirits, to the cosmos and everything. So before you want to ask for something from the universe, what ancient did, they made offerings. And so you can start by feeding birds. That is one of the blessed, and this is feeding birds is one of the shamanic techniques that they used, where you come and you share a little bit of your bread and or your seeds with the birds. Or feeding animals. It could be any animals. You could be feeding cats and dogs, stray cats, dogs on the street, or you could be involved in animal shelters. But this process of giving will start a cycle of reciprocity. And I think it's important that we are right now in our season of giving. And I think this is important for all of us to find time to make your thought, because thought is energy, right? So once you start thinking about what you're supposed to be giving, it's going to kind of focus on you. So the principle in metaphysics is called like maybe spiritual giving, right? In general, the practice of generosity makes sure that you have abundance. And Elaine started today with very important mantra, and she gave you these magical words. And I believe that this is going to be our last one for today. The power of these sacred sounds. Okay, in a lot of Vedic Sufi traditions, in a lot of Hawaiian shamans, the South American shamans, they're always using sounds to create. So the sound becomes these mantras, right? It's a sacred geometry. And so these chants and prayers create this invisible sacred geometry that does harmonization of your space. So one of the most famous, I would believe, mantra is Om, and that creates and clarifies this space. So I would suggest for you to be brave and try, and we're going to ask Elaine right now to give us a couple more mantras maybe that people could start using to harmonize their space, to put them into creative space. In Vedic mantra is very known is Om Namah Shivaya, that is creates this divine energy in the universe, connects you to the divine source. Elaine, if you would love to chip in and finish our session for today with these magical words.
Sure, yes. So Om is one of the mantras it's a yogic mantra. In Kundalini, we use the mantra Ong, O-N-G. It's the same one that we tune in to the practice. And O-N-G, Ong, it is said if you chant Ong, the word Ong is like the word gong, which is another commonly used instrument in spiritual practices. When you strike the gong is said to contain all of the sounds of the universe. So when we chant Ong, we're actually chanting all of the sounds of the universe all in one. So when you do it very intentionally and very, very mindfully. You can keep your hands in Gyan Mudra. This is just a way to ground yourself. And so you could just rest the backs of the palms on the knees and just have the eyes closed and just chant. And in that, you're channeling and you're attracting and you're connecting to every frequency and every sound. Here, the dog is back. Every time I start speaking, the dog comes back.
Well, let's finish up with the beautiful meditation.
Yeah. So
let's close our session with a beautiful mantra.
So continuing on with the mantra with Ong, the sound of Ong, O-N-G, we're going to chant Ong So Hung. Ong So Hung. And what that means is Ong, that infinite creative consciousness of all the sounds. So Hung means I am that. So we are that creative infinite consciousness. So hands in Gyan Mudra, back to the palms. And let's chant Ong So Hung. I'm going to time us so we can close out. Okay, we'll chant together. Here we go. Hung, so, halfway there. So, deeply inhale, exhale, and just sit in your grace, in your own divinity, radiating your light, your creative electromagnetic frequency from your heart center. All love. You are ready, just bring your hands to heart center. Just blessing yourself in gratitude for this practice and gratitude for showing up, for joining to this workshop with Yelena and I to elevate yourself. And one thing we didn't talk about today at all was Pluto in Aquarius. I know Yelena knows what I'm talking about. It happened 2 days ago for those who weren't aware, but the last time this happened was in the 1770s. So 250-ish years ago. And we had the American Revolution, we had the French Revolution. So we're in very powerful revolutionary times. I know it feels, a little bit confusing to some, but on the other side of what awaits us is this beautiful golden age. So by engaging in these kind of practices and these spiritual, these ancient techniques, we can really be ready for the times and you know, it's going to get better. So
It is.
yeah.
Thank you so much. And we would love to thank everyone who joined and watched this recording. Please make sure follow us on Instagram. We will have, you have Elaine's Instagram when you registered and mine, and watch out for a mail from us. If you would love to subscribe to our mailing list, please send us a message and we will get in touch with you and add you to our subscription list. So we love you very much. We wish you to have an amazing holiday season and amazing days, and we hope to see you next month for our next December Zoom about the holiday seasons and preparing for the New Year's. Elaine, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we're shifting energies, shifting frequencies, and we move from 2024 to 2025. There's a numerical shift there that's going to change the energy. So we can utilize these these frequencies to our advantage if we are conscious of them. So we'll be doing some stuff to prep us for 2025.
Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.